March the 22nd, 2021. I'd like to welcome my fellow councillors. We have our CAO, Rob, with us here today, Rob Philpott, and our Director of Finance, Kristen Dunsford. And we have our Technical Services Engineer, Aaron McDonald, and Linda Stevenson from Technical Services. We have the Journal Pioneer with us, Colin McLean. Welcome, Colin. And members of the public and our viewing audience on YouTube. So welcome to all, and we'll have this special meeting regarding zoning. And is there a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Campbell. I think he got his hand up first. All in favor? Contrary, nay? Carried. Okay, I'll turn it over to Councillor Brian McFeely, the Chair of the Planning Board, for this 490 Willow Avenue request. And the floor is yours, Councillor McFeely.
Thank you, Your Worship, and we will move right into it. It's a zoning amendment application for 490 Willow Avenue, 486 Willow Avenue, and 230 Elm Street. So the background, an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for 486 Willow Avenue, 590 Willow Avenue, and 230 Elm Street. PID numbers 305-839, 305-821, and 305-813. The purpose of the zoning amendment is to allow an apartment building in the proposed R4 zone as follows. Proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Change the zoning from medium density R3 zone to high density R4 zone, and the subject properties are shown on the accompanying map, Your Worship, as well as the elevation view from the south and the site plan. The application was advertised in the March 9th edition of The Guardian, and letters were mailed to property owners within 600 meters or 200 feet of the subject properties. Medium density residential R3 zone, the current zoning. The purpose of this zone is to provide for medium density housing in the form of single family, semi-detached, duplex dwelling, townhouses, row houses, or other compatible uses. Permitted uses, subject to the bylaw requirements. The R3 zone permitted uses include zoning or single family dwellings, duplex dwellings, assisted living, semi-detached dwellings, accessory buildings, manufactured homes, mobile home lawfully existing prior to 1999. Discretionary uses, subject to council approval. R3 zone discretionary uses include a child care facility medium, boarding house, social service agency, group home, nursing care facility, community care and nursing home, tourism establishment, tourist home and inn, townhouse 8 units per building maximum, row house 8 units building maximum, and apartments 4 units maximum. And anything with an asterisk there would require conditional use approval as well. Conditional uses subject to the development officer approval. The R3 zone conditional uses include home-based businesses, secondary suites, tourism establishments, bed and breakfast, and vacational rental property. The high-density residential R4 zone, the proposed zoning includes, the purpose of this zone is to provide for high-density housing in the form of apartments, as well as housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached duplex dwellings, row house, townhouse, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses subject to bylaw requirements in the R4 zone. The permitted uses are single-family dwellings, assisted living, row house, semi-detached dwellings, duplex dwelling, townhouse, apartment building, group home, nursing care facility, community care and nursing home, boarding house, child care facility medium, social service agency, accessory building, and a rooming house. Discretionary uses subject to council's approval. Discretionary uses in the R4 zone includes the tourism establishment, tourism home and inn, and the asterisk there also requires conditional use approval. Conditional uses subject to a development officer approval. In the R4 zone, conditional uses are home-based business, tourism established, bed and breakfast and vacation rental property, and secondary suites. We're moving into the part of the meeting where we would invite comments. We do have one written comment, one letter that was received relating to the application, so I'll read that into the record. And I know that Councillor Ramsey received an email, so we'll get that read into the record as well. So the first one here, dated Friday, March 19th to Linda Irving. The subject is Cameron rezoning application. Hello, Linda. I'm writing to express citizen support for the rezoning application recently submitted by Philip and Colleen Cameron for PID number 305-839, PID number 305-821, and PID number 305-813. I live nearby at 146 Cedar Street. The proposed R4 apartment project is a rational response to help address the critically short supply of rental housing in Summerside. At the same time, it answers to the need to infill dormant lots, transforming otherwise unproductive land into desperately needed residential housing. Higher density with R4 here will optimize the number of individuals and families who stand to benefit from this ideal location. For example, being steps away from the Confederation Trail, Credit Union Place, the Echo Business Park, and with school, shopping, professional services all close by. Financially, both short and long term, a city rezoning from R3 to R4 will inject an incremental bump in property tax and utility revenues. Historically, the Camerons have been solid supporters of the Summerside community and have proven themselves to be responsible, reliable, and respectful developers and landlords. I trust the Planning Committee, Mayor and Council will see the merits of the Cameron rezoning application and accordingly approve it. Sincerely, Bob Ashley, 146 Cedar Street, Summerside. And I would now ask Councillor Ramsey maybe to read into the record the email that she received.
I will. Good evening, everyone. I received a message from Paulette Halupa, and she said yesterday, "Hi Barb, I'm reaching out to you on behalf of my children. 5 of them have children attending Elm Street School. They're very concerned about the rezoning request by Cameron Apartment." And that's what I received yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So we've reached the time in our...
and I had messages from Paulette.
Oh, okay,
and
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Paulette and also Ilonka Guardsmith, who would be Paulette's daughter, I believe. And it was the same, just wondering if this would add more traffic to an already dangerous area, and with the traffic issues that we've had on that area lately and that we've been trying to deal with as a council. Those were
Okay, thank you very much.
And I guess just for the record, I also received a message from Paulette. It would have echoed the same sort of questions just around traffic and in the area, that sort of stuff. But Paulette's in attendance too, so.
Okay,
Just Councillor McPhee, Councillor Adams, did you have a name and an address to, did you mention it? I don't know if Brian picked it up or not. No, I didn't.
no, they're in attendance this evening.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, we like to keep everything.
They're in attendance this evening, but they had also sent messages, so.
Thank you.
So now is the time in the agenda where we would invite the applicant to make any comments they may wish to make, and we would invite, I understand Riley Cameron will speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes.
We would ask Riley if you would address the mic and state your name and address and your comments. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you for having me here. My name is Riley Cameron, and I live at 393 Water Street in Summerside. I would just like to say that I agree with that email that was in support of this rezoning, just in the sense that it is a nice neighborhood to grow up in. I grew up not far from this proposed rezoning, and it's great access to the Credit Union Place and the elementary schools and the intermediate schools. which is important for families. Also, I would just like to note that right across the street from this proposed rezoning, there is already an R4 apartment building. And then also farther down the street on Willow Avenue, there is a large parcel of land that is already R4. So bringing R4 into this neighborhood is not something that would be new to the neighborhood. It would simply just be new to this existing property. That's pretty much all I would like to say.
Great, thank you, Riley. Does council have any questions of Riley, or?
I was just going to ask Riley a question. The one that is R4 already, is that on Northumberland? That's the one you mean, on the top of Northumberland?
Yes, on the corner of Northumberland and Willow.
And Willow, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then the parcel that I'm speaking about, I believe it's just farther down towards the credit union place, but there is another large parcel of R4 land.
R4 land there.
On Willow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Riley. Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, just a point that it is, the parking lot is going to be serviced off of Perry, is it not?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that would be the most reasonable
Yeah,
option.
okay, because it would be little treacherous there on the Willow Street, so that was my thought. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Snow?
No, I guess I'm just gonna put this in here because this seems to be a relatively good spot. Just so everybody's aware, knowing this was coming up today, I contacted Elm Street School knowing it was in close proximity and spoke with the current principal there and just said, hey, this is coming to council tonight for rezoning. Can you let me know what concerns you may have? Is there anything you would like to add to it, or anybody from the school board? She stated basically that she had no issue with it. She actually said that she would welcome it in the area. It could increase students for the school, their capacity, that sort of thing. So she spoke in support of it, not knowing the details, because at that point I wasn't aware of the details either. But I just sort of wanted to get some feedback from the school, because any conversations I've had to date with anybody has been around the increased traffic and making sure it was safe in the school and around that Perry area, which is definitely a concern for us as a council, because in the last little bit we've done a lot of safety work in that area, the four-way stop, the flags, the speed bumps and stuff. So I just want to put that on the record, but other than that.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? We will open the floor here in a second. We have some secondary sound coming in here from somewhere. Anything else, Riley?
No, other than questions, if there's questions.
Great, well, thank
Could I
you.
just ask the question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, Your
Just
Worship.
wondering, I got no idea how this will unfold, but if it passes, I'll say that, when do you plan construction? Is it this year, next year, or 2 years, or what?
Yeah, it would probably be in the 2-year range. It would definitely not be this summer or this 12 months. So maybe the 2-year range.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Maybe in the 2 years, Councillor, the building materials price may drop to 50% what they've gone up.
That's probably what they're hoping to.
I do have one question regarding, there's buildings there now. Are there apartments there right now? Sort of condo-style apartments that are...
Yeah, there are 9 units, 2 separate buildings, one 5-unit building and one 3-unit building. So what we have in this preliminary plan is just there could be 18 to 24 units. So if it was on the smaller end of 18 units, there would only be an additional 9 units, which may not be as significant
Right.
as...
Okay.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Riley.
Can I?
Do we? Oh, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, I didn't see your light on.
No, I wondered, Riley, I just wanted to check, I may have missed it, But I just wondered, would you have any idea of the breakdown of the types of units? Like, will there be family units? Will there be any that's accessible, any affordable, anything? Would you have an idea of any of those types of breakdowns?
I know that there would be accessible units. As far as 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, I'm not sure yet. It will. We haven't gotten into the details with the plans of the actual building yet.
No, that's fair.
But there would be accessible units.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now is the time that we would invite the public to make comments. Brian, do we have disinfectant for the mic up there and stuff? So, okay. So we'll make sure that we get that. And I would encourage the public, so this is the time for the public to ask questions and make comments. This is the public's opportunity to speak to this. As we move forward here, this is the opportunity for us to hear from the public. So we would really encourage you, if you have thoughts or comments, please come to the mic so we can hear those. So thank you very much. And state your name and address, please. If you could just, yes, when you're done, just maybe give the mic a wipe there, and that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Gerald Arsenault. I live on 428 Perry Avenue, right, in the area. So obviously, I do have concerns about the traffic in the area for the school and on Perry Avenue Street, because there's a large number of kids on Perry Avenue that use that street to play at, which is huge, right? I mean, for their safety. But one of my other concerns is, I have, my neighbor's property is on the back end of the properties that you guys are wanting to build that. So do you know where on the property you plan to build that, by chance? Like, do you have, like, how far from the?
Yeah, there's a kind of a plan right there, and everything would abide to the R4 setbacks and regulations when it comes to parking.
So where is Perry Avenue on?
This is Perry.
Perry's on the right,
Perry's
and Willow is up on the top there, and the parking would come off Perry.
So the parking lot would be beside the apartment and the neighboring property.
Yes.
So basically,
Okay, Perry Avenue is where on that map? Perry Avenue is there.
Elm Street, but it's at Perry.
so
Perry
is
Strawberry.
the proposed parking lot basically where the big storage shed is now? What I call it,
Okay,
whatever.
so the storage building that's there, that's where the parking lot's going to be. Anyways, the other big concern for me is, because I know I look out my window, I see children playing on the street, they're riding their bikes, their scooters, everything, right? And yeah, and there's no sidewalk. So that's a concern for me. I mean, my kids are all grown up, but safety of the kids and the neighborhood, right? We have a quiet street, and we sort of like it. Anyway.
Thank you very much. Any other, again, I encourage you folks, this is the opportunity. Don't be shy. We're easy to get along with.
Okay, my name is Bethany Halupa, and I live on 403 Wood Avenue. I have children that go to Elm Street School, and I live, just right off of Elm Street Road. My concern is both for the traffic in and around that area, because I'm not sure if anybody's ever gone near Elm Street any time between 8 o'clock and 9:30 in the mornings, and it's the same for a good hour and a half in the afternoons. You can barely even drive down the road because it's parked on fully up both sides. And after school and before school, you've got a ton of children walking. In the summertime, it's children playing, kids going up and down to the park, because during summer there's no school, so they can go and use the playgrounds there. There's always kids, and to increase traffic that much, and it will be a big increase, because you're going from 9 apartments, and I know a few of the people who live there, to a large apartment building that's going to, at the very least, double the amount of people who are there currently. That's going to significantly increase the amount of traffic. And with all the work that has been done to ease the traffic concerns in that area, like, well, to me, it's kind of like, if you approve that, you're going backwards, because you just put in all of that stuff to keep the children safe, and now you're increasing traffic by double in that, for that area. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Oh, excuse me. Could I get you just to give the mic a wipe there, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. Any others?
Hi, my name is Angela Arsenault. I'm at 111 Northumberland, so just pretty close to that as well. My main concern is just the same as what's already been said. I just thought I would echo it, that there's already some traffic issues, especially in the mornings around that school. Anytime you're driving up there, it's difficult, and there's a lot of kids out playing, crossing streets, all that. So I'm just a little concerned with the increase of traffic in the area. But.
Great. Thanks, Angela. Again. Oh, great. Angela Arsenault. Oh, she lives on Northumberland Street.
111.
Yeah, just down the street. Thanks, Angela.
Hello, folks. My name is Twyla Arsenault, and I live at 428 Perry Avenue, which is two houses down from the proposed site. We're talking about traffic in the area, which is something that we see out our window a lot, especially with the school. And I'm so appreciative for the 4-way stop that has been put in place. Not only the increased traffic from new residents, and we are all about having more housing. We totally get it. We totally agree. We bought our home there with the fact that it was nice and quiet. Yes, there is an apartment building across the road. Yes, we know that. We know that the trail is there, and everybody would think that would be lovely. But on that trail, whenever we bought the house, when we bought our house, the trail is just right off our property. And one would think, oh, that's great, accessibility to the trail. But for us that live there, the people that walk that trail, it's not private anymore. And of course, you're going to have more people coming there. You're going to have more families coming in. But not only the families that are going to be moving into this proposed building, but the guests that will be visiting these families. So the traffic is going to be increased even more, because people are going to have family over. So with the parking going to be on Perry Avenue, there is no sidewalk for the children. So, and on Perry Avenue, it goes around into a curve, like you got Elm Street and then it goes into Perry. There is no sidewalk. The children have no place to walk. So if you got more traffic there, and a lot of people will take that to go over to Duke Street, because they don't want to go onto Willow, because Willow is busy. So they're going to go across Elm Street into Perry, which is just a short little stint, onto Duke Street. There is no sidewalk. So you're going to have more traffic for those children, not even the children, but anybody that's walking in that area. All right? Just want to bring that to your attention as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other comments? And again, welcome.
Hi, Paulette Lupin. I live on Myrtle, right up the road from the Camerons. We've been great neighbors all these years. And so I'm in an enviable position, because I've always been the person that complained when other apartment buildings have been turned down. I've always been the person saying, we need more housing. And we sure do. And we need housing for young couples. We need housing for people with children. We need housing for people with seniors. However, that being said, I have concerns about the traffic, because as the members know, I have a large number of grandchildren, and they all go to Elm Street School. So I have a concern about that. So, and it's been addressed, and Corey has talked about it, and I'm not sure I agree with the principal, but that's her choice, and it's my choice. I have some questions about the zoning, though. And I heard that there's already 2 R4 zones there, so that means increased traffic. If it's already R4, and sometime in a year or 2 or 3, those people decide, well, we could do better, let's get rid of this place and build something better, that increases traffic. And I had a question about whether, if this is approved, as the design is for 9 people, can that be changed then afterwards? If we're looking at a year or 2 down the road before this is built, can then that be changed at some point after that? Can it become an 18 one? Can it become, like, it says R4 can be zoned for an apartment building.
Yeah, so maybe Aaron or Linda, if you could comment on what the restrictions are there around R4 so that people...
I guess what they had mentioned was there was a couple of other existing properties that are already zoned R4 was the first part. And the request that's before you is to change this property from R3 to R4. And the number or density of the housing that can go on in R4 is laid out in your bylaws. It doesn't currently say 9 or 18. It's how much square footage of building they can occupy, how far away the building can be from the property lines, as well as providing parking, so much parking for the number of units that are in the building. It doesn't necessarily say if they have 9, they're stating they have 2 properties or 3 properties now, 5 on one, 3 on the other, or something like that. Those are what exists there now. If the property gets zoned altogether, all 3 properties would be consolidated to one and create an R4 building on the entirety of those 3 properties in order to make the property large enough to fit the requirements for R4. I don't know if that answers, just trying to provide additional information.
What's the maximum you can put in at 24?
No, it comes down to we'd have to figure out the calculation of the size of the lot. The bigger the lot, the more you can fit on as far as building. So it's not by the, you can only fill like 30% of the lot, for example. We'll get into these numbers at the actual planning board.
On the planning board
Yeah.
meeting, we'd have the
But it's based on how much size of a lot is how much building footprint or square footage of building can go on a lot.
Right.
Again, we don't know how many units because until the demand gets out there and they do their work, the demand might be for all 1-bedroom units, or the demand might be for families that are going to have 2 and 3 bedroom units. So the number of units would change.
The proposal is for 24 units.
That's what it says, and then what the gentleman said is they're going to do until they do their work. It's anywhere from 18 to 24. They're
Okay.
1% the 24 is, yeah. But again, it may not be 24. It's going to be how much square footage can fit there.
Right.
Regardless of them saying
So we
24, if they
will-
want 24 giant ones, then may not be able to be large. The lot may not be large enough to fit 24 3-bedroom, 1,200 or 1,500 square foot. It comes down to the total square footage.
I guess my point, and excuse me, I just wanted to make sure that there's 24 units maximum, or?
No,
Well,
there's no 24 maximum. What's by our rules, what they are proposing is 18 to 24 themselves.
right.
Yeah.
So at the planning board, will you provide the information that would tell us what, if it's zone R4, what could the maximum be in there?
In square footage, yes,
Yeah.
not number of units.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Snow?
I guess this is the thing that keeps coming back up and up again, is that we rezone stuff, and I understand, we hope to build within 2 years, but how within that 2 years it could change. That's what sort of conflicts it for me, where it could be more than 24 units, it could be, so I'm sitting here as a councillor trying to make a decision to rezone a property, and we're all hearing 24 units is the proposed, and I understand we're not that far along in the process, but could it change, or would the developer, I guess this is a question for the developer, who are residents of mine as well, so what's the chances of that changing down the road to 32 units, or, because I think that does start making a difference when you're when you're being told one thing and then it can change. For example, we have the Foxland development that was at one point rezoned for something else, and then it fell into another rezoning, and I have trouble with rezoning properties and not having a start end date based on what development comes in and proposed at the time, I guess.
Foxland was R4 for 20 years.
No, that's what I mean.
And now it finally came about for a developer that's coming forth with a proposal to build whatever size buildings. Once you're over, I forget the number, 4 or 6 units, whatever it is, you're going into the R4 category. Regardless if it's going to be a small lot that can only handle so much, or a huge, large lot that can handle 50 or 60 units. Or they're choosing to do up there in that instance, divide it into 7 individual lots or 8 that potentially have the option to subdivide off a building. There's different options that people look at. What you're looking at is you're zoning to an R4 use, which will get you the definition to say that's what you're considering. The rest of your rules determine how many units or how much building, not the units, how much building can go on a size lot.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess what the problem is, it comes with a plan of 24 units, and I trust them at their word. I think that is their plan, probably go forward. That's what we're hoping for, but that ultimately could change. So I know what you're saying. There's more uses, and we should be able to take that all into consideration. But when it's sitting right in front of you that this is what's going to happen, and we're telling the residents that this is probably what's going to happen, I would just feel more secure if I knew that this is the plan moving forward, I guess.
And
I'm just talking loud.
we will have the opportunity at planning board to explore that more and understand what the maximum might be there. So.
Councillor.
I think the other comment, Councillor McPhail, I think what he's alluding to though is there's more uses in R4. You don't specify one use in any zone. A property is zoned that, they can pick any one of the permitted uses. If it's not one of the permitted uses, you have no control over dedicating a property for one specific use.
No.
And that's my point. It could,
but that ain't gonna, that's not gonna change any piece of property in town or anywhere else in,
I think Councillor Durand was first.
Sure. Thanks, Councillor McFeely. I just have really just one question, just to provide a bit of context, both for myself and for anyone here. And I think I kind of know the answer just based on the size of the current lot, but currently the R3 zone that it's in, and we'll just, I guess, assume for argument's sake that it is proposed for 24 units. Is there any configuration that can be done today? I see that, for R3 you can only have 8 units per building if it's a townhouse or a row house. Is there room on that land today to put, say, for example, 3 townhouses, which would mean 24 units today? Just in terms of traffic, because I know that's a big concern. So is there any configuration as an R3 now to achieve 24 units?
We haven't gone through, we just went through what was being presented. Even typically, and we don't get into this much discussion on our own meeting, this meeting is intended for the applicant, the neighbors and yourselves to hear, and us to take down the notes and the topics. We will comment on and write that one down to say what could
for the
fit
next
there
meeting.
For the planning board,
Sure, yeah.
but typically we're not,
Yeah, okay.
But you're right, there is 3 individual lots there now.
Yeah, okay.
There are 3 separate parcels of land that are identified.
Okay, so maybe I'll circle back next meeting and just to know what can be done. Maybe today you're able to get 24 units, and so the traffic, it's not necessarily a concern only if this is rezoned R4. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And what Councillor McPhail did read off, you have the R3 ones in front of you, and one of the discretionary uses is a townhouse of 8 units. You know what I mean? So if they got discretionary use, if it could fit on the lot based on a lot of things, yes, you could potentially have 24, 8 on each lot if they could fit based on the other criteria. And with going through the discretionary use process.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Bryan. I guess I was just, like everybody else, making notes, and I'm wondering with the tech services and planning board in particular, will you be bringing back some information in your report on some of the comments that residents have made, like around safety for children, no sidewalks, more increased traffic, parking near Elm Street, that there would be more traffic congestion. And also, I believe several residents had mentioned around the privacy that they now have with an additional building. So I'm just wondering, will some of that information come out in your report when you look at it?
A lot of those categories are identified in different sections of the report that come back, and we'll try and comment on those and look at the overall traffic that's on the street now and what would be the incremental difference from what's there now as to what would be there, or as Councillor Duran said, what could legally be there with the current R3 zoning, and try and come back and compare those things. And typically one of the sections is they'll identify if there's, I think pedestrians is one of the categories, so it'll say if there's no sidewalks on there, and they'll look at all the number of existing accesses that exist now versus one access with a parking lot or what have you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Can I just-
Good. Councillor Ramsey, and then Your Worship.
Okay, and I just want to be clear here, because we have to make a decision down the road. So where it's zoned R3 right now, what you're saying, Aaron, is that there could be as many people living in this area as it is zoned now R3 as it would be R4. Is that what you and Justin, I was trying to, yeah.
Again, he's asking the question that we haven't looked at. We didn't look at 3 proposals for that. We were just preparing for this, and we're only here to view and observe and not be here with 4 different scenarios for you tonight.
Right.
We're here to find out what your questions are and bring those back to planning board where staff reports back to you. So
Right.
that's what I've identified down. What he did state was what they mentioned in the R3, which is in your package. So when I quickly look at the R3, one of the categories that's in R3, but it's under discretionary use, says townhouse, 8 units per
3
building.
8 units.
So that's where he's getting his quick math, and it is right, we just gotta verify, can it fit, you know?
And so 3 8 units could go up there and we would have no say, because it's already zoned R3.
You would have a say, because it's through a discretionary use process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have opportunity to explore this stuff more at the planning board.
Yeah, it's just nice to talk in front of the residents so that they can understand, and the developer, you know, they can understand that, like, sometimes, even if the zone doesn't change, they can still have the
Numbers are the
same
same.
amount of people on the property, you know, so, because when we talk about traffic and safety, and those are all important things, so we need to know that that could be happening right now, as opposed, if it didn't get zoned. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Your Worship.
Well, just a couple of things there, and just so I'm clear on this as well. If 24 units can go there now, 3 8s, you know, wondering why, and you're thinking about building 24 at the end of the day, we're just wondering why it would have to be rezoned, and maybe I'm missing something along the line here. And is there an application, did I see 3 lots there? Is there an application in to zone it, or to have it in at 1 lot? Or is it presently at 3 lots?
It's presently 3 lots, but in order to put a building on, excuse me, in order to put the building on, the building would, as they've shown, would span over 2 properties, which we would require, as part of that the lots be consolidated, so you couldn't have a building on 2 different parcels.
So am I clear then that you could build the 3 8s the way it is?
I guess I tried to answer it. It is in your discretionary use of lists for that R3 zone. A discretionary use is a townhouse, 8 units per building max. It requires a discretionary use, which goes through council. But again, I'm not speaking for the developer, that whether they choose to build 124 or 3 8s, if they've got their business case, that's a question for them.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? And again, just before we move on with the explanation of the process, I just want to give one final opportunity for anybody from the public that may have something to say. This is your opportunity.
Mr. Cameron, you want an opportunity to say, sum up?
Yeah, I might just say something about the 3. Thank you. I might just say something about the 3 8 units. It's something that I never really thought of because it would just, with the City of Summerside setback rules, and then to have adequate parking and then 3 separate buildings that would have to be, you know, a certain distance away from one another, it would just make the property very tricky to deal with. And then that being said too, like you might be allowed to, but you might have to put driveways off, 2 driveways off onto Willow and 1 onto Perry Avenue. So to me, the 24 unit is just a simpler and cleaner design with the 1 access. But that's just the only thing I would like to add on that discussion there. But I'm sure it'll come up.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Riley. Any other comments? Hearing none, we will move forward then with the explanation of the process from here on. In order to process a zoning bylaw amendment, the following steps are required. 1, the zoning bylaw amendment is read a first time and declared as read at a first council meeting. That will happen tonight. The zoning bylaw amendment is referred to the planning board for review and recommendations. Those steps 1 and 2 will take place at the same meeting of council and will take place this evening. 3, the planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council, and that will happen on Tuesday, April 6th. Brian? So Tuesday, April 6th, that will happen at the planning board meeting, and that's open to the public. 4, the zoning bylaw amendment is read a second time and declared as read a second time at a second council meeting. And the zoning bylaw, number 5, the zoning bylaw amendment is read to be adopted by council. The resolution will be either carried or defeated by a vote of council. And that will happen on Monday, April 19th at our regular monthly meeting, I'm assuming. So then if the zoning bylaw amendment is adopted by council, it is sent to the Minister of Communities, Land and Environment for signature, and the amendment becomes official. So the dates are there of those 2 meetings, so steps 3 and 4 and 5. Please note that in accordance with section 5.20, the city zoning bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied with a decision of council in respect to the administration of this bylaw may appeal the council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission. And with that, Your Worship, I have a number of resolutions associated with these amendments. So,
just so for the information of the members of the public here, these resolutions tonight, as you'll likely explain, Brian, or Councillor McFeely, is to move the process ahead one way or another. There's no final decision made tonight.
Yeah.
It's just voting on the move it.
Just moving it forward here tonight is what we're doing. So resolution COS 21-0037. It's moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Barb Ramsey. Whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 305839 from medium density residential R3 zone to a high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 004 be hereby declared as read a first time. And I'll read into the record, Your Worship, the zoning amendment 044, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by Section 18, Section 19 of the Planning Act, RSPEI 1988, Cap P-8, hereby enacts as follows. The zoning for portion of PID number 305839 shown on Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw is designated as high-density residential R4 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of medium-density residential R3 zone. And the map showing the subject property is included there, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Any questions? All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried.
Resolution COS 21-038, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Barb Ramsey. whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 305839 from medium-density residential R3 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 044, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw was read and declared as read the first time at this council meeting. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 044, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby referred back to the planning board for review and recommendation.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried.
Moving on, Your Worship, to Resolution COS 21-041, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning bylaw amendment for PID number 05813 from medium-density residential R3 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 046 be hereby declared as read the first time. And I'll read into the record, Your Worship, the amendment. Zoning bylaw amendment 046, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Summerside, under the authority vested in it by Section 18, Section 19 of the Planning Act, RSPEI 1988, Cap P-8, hereby enact as follows. The zoning for PID number 305813, shown on Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, is designated as high-density residential R4 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of medium-density residential R3 zone, and the map of the subject property is included.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey, was this?
Councillor Adams.
Councillor Adams, this one. Okay, you've all heard the resolution. Any questions? Just one there. I had a couple of more resolutions in between those numbers.
No, I have.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What do we got here? Oh, yeah, I got a couple more here. I do, Your Worship. I had them in the wrong order, I'm sorry.
So this one is
But we'll get them here.
This one is 3941. Yeah,
That was 4-1, if you want.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. We have to vote on it. All in favor? Contrary nay? Carried.
Okay. We'll go back to, in the right order here now, Your Worship. We'll go to Resolution COS 21-039. Moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 305821 from medium-density residential R3 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be resolved that zoning amendment 045 be hereby declared as read the first time, and I'll read Schedule B into the record. Schedule the zoning amendment 045. A bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by Section 18, Section 19, the Planning Act, RSPEI 1988, Cap P-8, hereby enacts as follows. The zoning for PID number 305821, shown on the Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, is designated as high-density residential R4 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of medium residential R3 zone, and the map of the subject property is included there, Your Worship.
Okay, moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay? Carried.
And then we'll move forward with COS 21-040, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 305821 from medium-density residential R3 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 045, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read the first time at this council meeting. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 045, bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby referred back to planning board for review and recommendation.
Move. You have an amendment to read into that one? You haven't, eh? You haven't got
No,
it?
we're good.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
And we'll move then forward with the
42, is it?
42, COS 21-042. Moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams, whereas an application was received from Philip and Colleen Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 305813 from medium density residential R3 zone to high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, and whereas zoning bylaw amendment 046, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read the first time at this council meeting. Be it resolved that the zoning bylaw amendment 046, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby referred back to the planning board for review and recommendation.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions? All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Motion carried.
And I think we've got them all, Your Worship.
We've got them all, huh? Okay, I believe we've gotten to the end of the agenda as well of the meeting. Isn't that the last item? So, just before we adjourn, maybe Brian or Councillor McFeely or somebody explain just to the members of the public the procedure here. So when if we talk planning board meetings and reviews and those kinds of things, we want to make sure the audience fully understand the dates and what goes on at each one.
Yeah, so again, basically what we did tonight was have the first read. We heard from the public. We had the first reading of these. You heard from the motions that they've now been referred to planning board, and planning board will take a look at it. Staff had made notes from all your questions tonight. They will report back to planning board on those questions. Planning board had the opportunity to discuss them. That meeting will take place on April 6th at 5 p.m. So, and that is open to the public. The public don't have necessarily the opportunity to speak there, but there's certainly the opportunity to come and hear the debate and hear the questions and hear the discussion of planning board. Planning board will then make a recommendation to council based on the results of that meeting, and then the motions will go forward to council then on April 19th at 6:30 at our regular monthly council meeting, of which then council will vote on the application at that time. So the final vote on the application is on April 19th, and again that's open to the public as well. So there's two more opportunities for the public to come and hear the discussion and the debate. Just to reiterate those, April 6th at 5 p.m. the planning board, and April 19th at 6:30 p.m. the regular monthly council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely. And if any of the members of the audience wants anything clarified, feel free to call technical services office or anybody here to clarify those dates. And just for your information, the planning board is not another group from here. The planning board with 3 members of council and the mayor.
The planning board consists of Councillor Ramsey, Councillor Adams, and myself, and your worship. Although tradition has been that all of council attend the meetings, but the voting members that would be making the recommendation to council would be the ones I mentioned.
And the final vote will be all members of council.
All members of council make the final vote.
Any questions from anybody, or is that clearly explained out? And like I say, you can call if you want anything clarified. So we'll have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Councillor McDougall and second by Councillor Snow. All in favour? Thank you. Okay, we'll get disconnected here from YouTube.